that sound?
Too scared to have the bollocks.
Do you really want to go toe to toe with me on that?
You've completely, like, what are we doing here?
Levy isn't going anywhere.
It's all down to timing, isn't it?
Yes, good evening. Welcome back to the Spurs 5. There's only 4 of us. We've made some substitutions. We've signed Manny from the designated Hotspur. And to be fair, he's probably better than Johnny and Sean anyway. So thank you, Manny, for stepping in. How are you, mate? Are you good?
Good, man. Good. After a long day at work in London, it's good to be back in Cambridge, so can't complain. How are you guys? Thanks for having me, though. Thanks for having me.
Sounds terrible. I've been working in London. I've gone back to my massive abode in Cambridge. And here he is on the Spurs 5. We appreciate you jumping on, my man. So thank you very much. Lubo and his files. How are you, Lubo? You good?
All good today, yeah. Busy day. Looking forward to the show.
Good. Yeah, I'm sure we're going to have a lot of arguments tonight. I can feel it.
Sure
Talking of arguments, Stelios, how are you?
Yes, I'm good. Big up the chat and the panel. Thank you for being here. Unfortunately, my camera is going to be off for the next 2 shows because I've had a hair transplant and I look like I've been punched in the face, or I look like I've been sitting in the south stand and Richarlison's been taking shots, and obviously all his shots end up in the south stand and I've been hit by the ball. So give me a week or so and I'll be back with the camera on, everyone. But yeah, smash a like, subscribe. Let's rock and roll.
So anyone who wants to know what Rod Stewart looks like these days, Stel will be on screen in about a week's time.
Wouldn't it be amazing if when Stel next put his camera on, he's just got like a long, like the Robbie Savage kind of long flowing blonde locks? That would be amazing.
It's more George Michael, Wham, Club Tropicana.
Oh, don't. Every time my wife says she will listen to music, she goes, Alexa, play George Michael. And oh, for blood. Anyway, and not that I don't like George Michael, but just anyway, guys, girls, busy time. We've had the international break. Thank God, thank the footballing gods that is over. We now start a very busy period in which it didn't start well yesterday. We'll get there in a minute. And we've got a nice, easy trip to Monaco on Wednesday night, followed by a nice, easy trip to Everton on Sunday, and then a nice, easy trip up to Newcastle for the Cup. 3 lovely away games. You know what they say? You can't win your away games, win your home games. Manny, let me start with you, my man. We didn't win our home game. We played Aston Villa. We didn't actually, in my opinion, didn't think we actually played badly, but the deficiencies are very much there for all to see, Manny. What did you make of yesterday? Feel free. Don't hold back.
Yeah, I mean, other than the fact that I got to the stadium 9 minutes late, right? Because my wife decided to get me to get a light bulb from Sainsbury's just next to the stadium. So I missed the goal from Bentancur, and I ended up seeing 2 goals go past us. So it was absolutely wonderful. But yeah, no, listen, I actually agree. I don't think we played badly. I don't think we played badly. I think it was a game of fine margins. I've got my reservations on a few bits and pieces, which I'll get onto in a second. But I think it was a gritty game. It was exactly what I expected. It was going to be a game where, neither team was going to, give each other too much space, and that is seen by the XG that we had. None of us had an XG of even 1, right? In yesterday's game.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw the lineup, I mean, you can see the quality that Villa has. You can, they've not been great at the start of the season, but you can see in that midfield with Onana, Kamara, Rodgers, that is a quality midfield, right? And then we
Strong,
obviously
right,
had very strong midfield. Like
Strong
it's
midfield. Strong.
exactly. So I knew it was going to be a game like that, and I wasn't too disappointed with the performance. What I was more disappointed about was obviously the a few situations during the game, like, especially when we conceded, right? So with the whole situation with Frank, and it wasn't him, to be fair, it was the assistant. I don't know whether it was the assistant or the goalkeeper, the set piece coach. I don't know who it was who decided that Bergvall and Wani needed 10 minutes of tactical insights in, next to the pitch. I don't know whether you guys saw it from the TV, but I think that was my main frustration. But you can see that even with the chances that we missed, that is purely down to quality. So I think there are two sides of these things, right? It's the quality part of it, the fact that we haven't got enough quality up front, right? And maybe we haven't got someone. I mean, Xavi in the 10 was horrendous. I have to say, he unfortunately was man-marked by Onana for large parts of the game, but also he didn't show up for the ball enough, and those are the areas where Maddison shows his quality, but also his experience, right? And so yeah, I think all in all, not ideal that we've lost the game. It's not the end of the world, but I do think Frank has to really start looking a little bit about this not the front line in terms of the personnel, but in terms of our patterns of play. I understand when we haven't got quality and our patterns of play break down due to the quality, but I didn't see any patterns of play at all. So there is two sides of this thing: quality, patterns of play, our midfield not being good enough or playing well enough. I'm not entirely sure, but I don't think it's a loss where you lose your head over it, but it's a bit disappointing.
Yeah, I mean, look, Lubo, let me come to you. I mean, I think Manny's right there in terms of everything he said. To be honest, I'm not just being polite because he's a guest, but Aston Villa did have a very strong midfield when you look at it. Onana, Kamara, McGinn, then Morgan Rodgers in as well. I didn't really think I wasn't actually that impressed with Aston Villa. I thought we were the better team, but again, Lubo, we're struggling in when we get into that final third, aren't we? We're really struggling to look like a competent attacking unit.
I think he's got to change the system now for home games. Away games, no complaints. We're doing brilliantly. But the way he sets up at home the same as he sets up away, and it's not working. We can see it's not working. Away from home is great. We play as a counter-attacking team, and we've got 10 points out of 12. And every performance has been decent. We're not winning luckily on the road. We're playing well. And the problem is, we've had, if you include the cup games, we've had 6 matches at home this season. And we haven't really, Burnley, okay, we were the better team. We scored at the right times. Doncaster, I mean, we're even underwhelming against them. We won easily, but and the other games, Villarreal, thank you very much to their keeper. I don't think we had a shot on target the whole game. And the other 3 league games have not been great. You can't call them stirring home performances. So I think there are a lot of reasons for all of this. Going back, you can talk about bad, transfer recruitment through transfers for the past 10 years have not been good generally. Obviously, there are a few players that have come through. We bought some very good players like Romero, going back Wanyama, etc. But overall, percentage-wise, the players we're buying have not generally been successful. And I think Frank is having to deal with a lot of shit now, to be honest, because the squad is very thin and very light. And the first team's not... we haven't got a centre forward there. We haven't got a left winger there. But I do think we're now at a position.
Negligence.
No, well, yes. Listen, you know where I stand on that. You know where I stand.
No, I don't. How about Sava? You were right. It was a negligent transfer window. You've gone. Just admit it.
I must tell you, no. Listen, you're never going to buy. We're never going to buy 6 or 7 top players in the transfer window. We just don't. We're Tottenham Hotspur. It doesn't happen.
We bought 2. You couldn't have bought 2 more.
We couldn't.
What? Sorry. What? We
Hang
bought
on,
2 players. We bought 2 players in the transfer window. Possibly we could go and buy another 2.
No, but is it fair to say that we're halfway through a transfer window and Frank actually comes out and says quite openly to the press that the way Tottenham's set up with the recruitment does not align with the way he worked at Brentford, and it's having to change. So we've wasted half the window. We've lost Eze and Morgan Gibbs-White as well. It's not been a particularly great window, but the players we picked up, you hope that somebody was like no. It has been negligence for 10 years, Scott. It's been massive.
And it was negligent this summer when you lot all told me
negligence. But listen, we've now got a structure in place, and hopefully from January onwards, these gaps won't be left. So, but players like Paulinho, like Kudus, were very good. Paulinho will be bought. I'm sure. I think Spurs were saying that they're looking to buy him in the January window, get that loan turned into a permanent transfer. So you'll have 2 permanents there. You've got Simmons, who I'm sure will be a lot better than how he showed yesterday. Kolo Muani, who knows? Let's see what happens. The guy's not fit enough at the moment to do 90 minutes, and he's been at the club for nearly 2 months. So
negligence.
Just don't know there. It's not perfect. It's far from perfect. We've had a far from perfect transfer recruitment strategy for 25 years. So, hopefully we're getting there. But I do think, coming back to yesterday's game, so I do think for home matches, I think we need to start looking at possibly different systems now, because we haven't got apart from Kudus, we haven't got the players up front, and I think he needs to make the 11 stronger man for man by playing maybe a 3-5-2 or a 3-5-1-1 or a 3-4-2-1, whichever system looks good. I think for me, there's not enough legs when he plays Paulinho and Bentancur together. We don't have
Aston Villa's midfield, didn't they?
Well, yeah, but we never looked dangerous, did we? We just don't look dangerous.
Hang on. I've got right from the get-go, before I get to tell, this is where I've got problems with really lazy analysis. Everyone now is, but the Paulinho Bentancur double doesn't work. I didn't think the
that season at home. I've been saying at home that I feel.
Hang on. If you let me finish my sentence. But the problem was yesterday our problem wasn't in midfield. I thought yesterday you had to play those 2 because Aston Villa, like Manny said, played 3 big, strong, physical players. They played Kamara, McGinn, and Onana, right? Everyone's saying you can't play that 2 of Bentancur and Paulinho. Okay, cool. Who are you playing in there then that's going to give you the fight?
I didn't disagree with him starting those 2. I would have changed. I wouldn't have waited till Villa went 2-1 up before bringing on Bergvall and Kolo Muani after 79 minutes. I would have changed it around 60. Spurs are in the ascendancy for most of the second half before Villa scored. And when you're in the ascendancy, that's the time to bring on fresh legs and try and push that little bit more. And I felt Frank missed a trick there. Just not making being reactive rather than proactive with those 2 substitutions. Apart from that,
sure, but I just want to get the answer before I bring Stell in. I want to get the answer. I want to get the answer to this. I keep hearing this about the Bentancur Paulinho thing. For me, the issue isn't our central midfield pairing. The issue for me is absolutely that we have no threat up top. Yesterday, we played against 3 big physical centre mids. Right? You had to play that midfield pairing, and I thought Paulinho and Bentancur were excellent yesterday, and I thought they controlled the game. I don't see how those 2 playing meant we didn't win. I think those 2 were excellent in midfield. I feel it's become a lazy narrative every time we don't win now.
No. You look at his map with passing, Bentancur's square ball, square ball, square ball. Every ball's a square ball. We don't need
But Lubo, do you know why it was a square ball?
It's to win it and give it. That's his job.
Why do they play square balls? Why do they play square passes?
Because they're not looking forward. He is not looking forward.
No. They've got no one forward to pass
That was,
it to.
yeah, that was the problem.
Lubo, you know how I know you agree with this? And this is how I know when you get your bee in the bonnet about a player you like versus a player you don't like. And I'm going to call you out. And I know you get upset when I do it. I'm going to do it anyway.
You can try.
No, I'm not going to try. I'm going to do it. When I say about Romero, when I say, problem for me is I say Romero, when his passing's good, it's good. But for me, he holds on to it too long and slows the game down. You always say, who's he got further forward to pass it? There's no centre forward. They're all static.
But he's looking. He's always looking. I don't think Bentancur does. Bentancur plays the easy part.
Who are you passing it forward to? Tell. Odegaard.
Well, listen.
But it's not even that. Like yesterday, Xavi was. I mean, I don't want to be too harsh on him, right? And say that he was hiding because Onana was really onto him, right? The entire game. But every single time Bentancur got the ball, he didn't have that 10 outlet to be able to release it to. Like what Unai Emery did from a tactical point of view was really, really smart. What he did is he allowed both McGinn and the other guy, Evans, I think his name was, right, to show for the ball constantly. Whenever they showed for the ball on the left-hand side and on the right-hand side, Paulinho and Bentancur had to then vacate the midfield to try and tackle that fire. And then as soon as they vacated that midfield, Rodgers just dropped into the pocket. And there was a free pass onto Rodgers every single time. So I do agree with you, Lubo, when you say Frank should have literally thought about it very, very quickly and changed the system, because in my opinion, it was not working because Xavi was nowhere to be seen. I don't know whether you went to the game. Every single time I raised my head up, Xavi was behind an Aston Villa player. So that was the issue, in my opinion, with Bentancur and Paulinho at the time. I guess you could argue that maybe Bergvall could have been able to carry the ball further and take one or two men out. But I mean, when he came on, I didn't really see much from that perspective. I think our issue was in that pocket space where Madders would normally just roam around, show for the ball, get the ball. Xavi was nowhere to be seen. So when Bentancur got the ball, raised his head up, there was no one to pass the ball to, so he had to go back. He either had to go back or he had to go side to side. And then, to be fair, I do feel a little bit for Frank from the perspective of him losing Romero literally, after the warm-up, because normally what Romero does is he also then looks up and is able to pass the ball through the channels. And Danso just could not do that. So it was literally left up to Bentancur and Paulinho to then pass the ball through the channels alone. And that for me, that was the issue. It wasn't necessarily playing Bentancur. It was who was up there for him showing up for the ball. There was nobody showing up for the ball. Everyone was hiding.
That is an issue. Danso, I thought, had a very good game. I thought Danso had a decent game.
I agree. I thought it was very good.
Came in, he didn't look out of his depth. There was no big drop down from Romero, that you would see with other players. I thought Danso played well. I don't think the defence played badly. I just think Simmons stood off Morgan Rodgers. Spence stood off Buendia, and the two shots. I mean, I've seen people on here on the comments blaming Vicario. Vicario may have been to blame for goals at Brighton against Wolves and Leeds. Certainly wasn't to blame for those two yesterday. There was absolutely no way.
Well, let me bring in Stell.
Go on.
Let me bring in Stell, and we'll get to Vicario, because I think he was very suspect on the first goal again. The second one, not. The first goal. And there's a compilation of him going around of his goalkeeping this year, which is very, very suspect. Stell, how are you? Good?
Yeah, good.
Good. What do you make of it? What do you make of it yesterday?
I've actually got lots to say about this. Loads. So
good job.
You're gonna have to. Yeah, you're gonna have to give me about 10 minutes here.
You're on the right show still.
Yeah. But listen, make notes rather than questioning me as I go along, because I lose my train of thought on this. First of all, those out there who are saying Frank out, they're only doing it because they're either entertainers or comedians, or they just want to get hysterical reactions online. Nobody that is saying Frank out is serious, in my opinion. You cannot be a serious football fan if you're saying Frank out when we're sixth in the league, still in the Champions League, still in the Carabao Cup, having played 8 league games, right? So either you're a joker, comedian, entertainer, or you just want to get some hysterical online traction. That's the first thing. That has to be said, because there are people out there now saying Frank out. The second thing is, we do have an issue with quality players, there's no doubt. And people who were defending the Archie Grays, the Mateus Tells, the Richarlisons, the Solankis, the Odeberts, they are not good enough to be at this football club. We are a football club that has been used to Kane, Son, Eriksen, Modric, Ginola, Gaza, Gascoigne, Lineker, Freddie Canute, Jermaine Defoe, Dimitar Berbatov. I can go on and on and on. None of the players I mentioned, Odebert, Solanke, Richie Tell, Gray, are anywhere near that level. None of them. And we spent 250 million on them. We spent 50 million on Kudus. Imagine we spent 250 million divided by 50. That's 5 Kudus level players. Just think of the difference we would be right now on a technical level and on a playing level. So without a question of a doubt, I think fans now who try to defend them, generational this, generational that, be patient, give them time, blah, blah. I think they're all now slowly beginning to hide away, or they're realizing that they just jumped on a positive train of optimism on players that, quite frankly, should never have been signed by this football club. I'll give a little bit of grace, a little bit, to maybe Archie Gray, on the basis that I think he needs a loan spell and then come back. But the rest, if they got sold tomorrow, I don't think any Spurs fan would give a shit. The third thing, I think our style of play is something that's slowly beginning to bother a lot of fans, and it's manifesting into some of the negativity that is being spread. And that is partly down to we haven't hired a manager who is renowned for style of play. Partly down because we don't have enough players who are quality enough to play at a level that would get us sitting on the edge of our seats. You know, when Kudus gets the ball, you think, oh my God, what's he going to do? What's he going to do? When any other player gets the ball, I'm not really sitting on the edge of my seat. So I think the style of play is playing into a poor atmosphere at the game. And plus, because our home record is so shit, the atmosphere at home is becoming quite boring. So all these things are manifesting as well into the game, because when it's 1-1, if you've got 62,000 fans cheering on the team, chanting, singing, making a real racket, we might get the team over the line, but we're not. We're sitting there and we're thinking, I don't know if we're going to win this. And I'm a bit bored actually watching this, and I don't really want to see Mateus Tell on the ball. So I think we've got an issue with the atmosphere, but I link it to the quality of players and the style of play. One of you guys mentioned that we need to change our tactics at home. I disagree. I think we need to change our tactics against good teams, because for me, when we play good teams, they double up on Kudus. It kills any wing play tactic that we put in place, and we're then left to what? We're then left to hoping that maybe a defender scores a goal or a defensive mid scores a goal. So I think when we play the good teams, and we can get into it later on, we should go 1 up top or 2 up top, and don't worry about wing play, and allow the fullbacks to be overlapping wide players if needed. Only against the really good teams, because against Leeds we didn't have a problem, against Burnley we didn't have a problem, against essentially most of the teams we beat, we didn't really have an issue. It's the teams that are good, like the Bournemouths, the Aston Villas, we just look lost of ideas. So he needs to change it only against good teams. The last couple of points are, I think from now until the January window or until the summer, when we can bring in a lot more players, Frank should adapt our play in terms of how we play, not having this big emphasis on wide players because we've only got one good wide player. And maybe we become a bit of a Stoke City, a bit of a piece specialist team just for a short period of time because we don't have the quality to play the football that we want to see. And I don't think Frank's got the players to do what he's trying to do at the moment in half the games we play. Just until we bring in the quality to then say, right, you've now got the players, Frank. Show us what you got. I think what's happening, guys, is what's happened to every other previous manager at Spurs. They come in, there's a lot of positive energy. We all get behind the manager, give it a chance, be patient, yada, yada, yada. What's going to happen, and this is my big prediction, we're going to get to the summer, and this is the last point I'm going to make. We're going to get to the summer and Frank's going to realise he's at Tottenham Hotspur. What I mean by realise, he's now going to know what it means to be at a Big Six club with Champions League expectations and a fan base that wants to be entertained. It's going to really hit him. And he's going to sit there and he's going to look at the squad and say, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I've got to keep you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're absolute garbage. I need to get rid of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I can work with you, but if the club had to sell you to bring in more players that are better, I'm open to you leaving. And he needs to sit down with Vinay, sit down with Paratici, sit down with Lange and say, I'm the manager. This is how I do it. You either do what I say now, or there's no point me being the manager, and he walks. Because if he doesn't have the cojones to have that chat in the summer, and mark my words, guys, it's going to hit Frank because it hits every manager at this club when they realise where they're at. Then we'll see what the board's about. Then we'll see what the recruitment team's about. And then we'll see whether Frank is a yes man or he's here and he's the real ticket. But from now until the end of the season, Frank just needs to use the players he's got slightly better against the better teams. Keep doing what he's doing against the weaker teams because it works. And in the summer, that's why I've always said Frank gets 1 year from me. He gets a year because in a year's time, he's going to have that conversation. And then we'll see what's what with the board and with Frank. Because the only manager that ever laid it down with the facts was Conte. And even he left. So I think in the summer, Frank needs to get real and say to this board, those 8 players, don't you dare let them go. Those 8 players, they're absolute garbage. Don't you dare keep them at this club. I've got no idea why you brought them in. And those 8, I can work with them. But if you need to sell them to get me better players, I'm open to that as well. And that conversation must be had in the summer. Otherwise, if it's not had, Frank will be gone in a year's time, 2 years' time, because the fans will turn on him. If he has that conversation, let's see where we go. Because I think that's where it's heading slowly. Because we've got a very tough run coming up now. And it's a tricky path to navigate when you actually are honest about the quality of this squad, which is, let's be honest, it's an average squad. That's my take on it. And I think yesterday is a fine example of everything I've just said.
Do you know what? I don't disagree with any of that. I don't. I think you're absolutely right. I feel like we've got far too many players that should be nowhere near this football club still. And what's more concerning for me is we've got far too many fans that think they should be. The same fans that think these players should be at the club are the same fans that get annoyed that we're not higher up the table. And that's where it just absolutely makes me laugh, mate. Like we've got, I mean, I'm watching the game and I'll bring this up right now. I want to talk about our front players. Guys, I can't remember. You're all of age enough. I'm sure Manny's younger than us, but
I'm not that young.
You look young. You take it. Take the compliment. Take the compliment.
Take it, Manny. Take it.
Take it, man. I think this is the worst set of wingers stroke forwards I can remember for certainly 2 decades, maybe 3. Now, that doesn't mean we haven't had any bad players in those 2 or 3 decades, but I can't remember as a collective, if that makes sense, guys. I can't remember as a collective looking around all of our wingers and strikers and going, the only one I want to see play is Kudus. I think Johnson is absolutely dreadful. Richarlison is one of the worst strikers I've ever seen in a Tottenham shirt. I don't care what Sean says. We'll have this next week when Sean's on. Tell an Odegaard, I'm sorry, no matter how much you guys keep telling me that he did this off the ball, these guys are not good enough, right? Mawani, I have no idea because we've seen about 20 minutes of him in 3 months. Guys, that's my big issue. And I agree, we need to find different ways of playing. I agree. My worry is still when that ball gets into that final third, if Kudus isn't doing something, I don't have anyone that, like Stel said, 1, gets me off my seat, or 2, makes me think there's a goal. And I'll give you some examples just quickly. If you have a look yesterday, at what stage, and be honest with me, Stel, Manny, Lou, at what stage, whenever Tellen Odegaard got the ball, anywhere in and around that goal, 20 yards, 25 yards out, did you think this is going to be a goal? This is going to create a goal.
Okay, Sava, you know,
did I think that?
I've got a bit of a view on this one with Odegaard. With Tell, I agree. I said it clearly last week when Tell scored his deflected goal, and a couple of you guys said, "Yeah, there you go, making an issue that's deflected." I said, "All right, let's see what he does against Villa." He's shit. Mateus Tell should not be at this football club, and I confidently say that he's crap because I've seen enough from this guy to know he's not going to be the player that we want. Maybe at another club he can find his feet. Not at this club. This club isn't forgiving like that. With Odegaard, what I will say is this. He gave it a go yesterday, but there was no end product. Now, what I want to see is this. Thomas Frank takes Odegaard to one side, plays back a couple of passages of play and say, right, look in this moment here. Why couldn't you have done this? Why couldn't you have played it there? Why couldn't you have fed in Simmons? Why couldn't you have fed in the runner there? And then say to him, in training, I want to see you do that. And the next game you're going to start, I want to see you do that. That's coaching. And I want to see Frank do that with Odegaard. Like I said this previously, for a couple of months. So then we can see whether or not he can be developed and coached. If at that point it's still not working, then we've got to bin Odegaard. Now, if you said to me right now, if we could sell Odegaard and bring in Lookman, I'd say, yeah, do it. Because he's the finished article. With Tell, though, I honestly don't see us being able to develop him on the basis that strikers have killer instinct. Tell does not have the killer instinct. He can't even read the passage of the ball in flight. The ball came across the box. He misjudged the flight, didn't know what part of the body to hit it with, and he ended up missing the ball. Now, if Brennan Johnson was there or Richarlison, as much as they're crap as well, I think they score that goal. I think Johnson or Richarlison have got a, mind you though, Richarlison probably miss it. Maybe Johnson would score it, but I don't think Tell can be developed as a forward. I don't. Whereas Odegaard, I'd like to give it a go just to see if it can be done.
But still, can I just quickly say, just before I bring the others in, my concern with this is I feel like, and I'm not saying you've suggested this, by the way, but I feel like whenever I'm talking about Tell and Odegaard, I feel like we're talking about that we're a youth Sunday league football team that are here to develop young footballers.
Yeah,
This is the first team. This is the first team of Tottenham Hotspur, right? What should be happening? Players like Odegaard, for me, should be developing and learning that out on loan, if anything. Don't get me wrong. I didn't want him signed. That he should not be at Tottenham Hotspur, right? As I sent you the stats yesterday, still, right? His stats at Spurs, I'm not saying stats are everything, but he's not got a single assist in a Spurs shirt, right? Now look at his previous 2-3 years as a pro footballer before that. He's got like 1 assist a season. This guy is not this guy. If he was playing at any other Premier League club, no one's looking at him and going, "That's who you need." But we make excuses every game. Oh, did you see that move he did? Did you see that pass he did? He hasn't got that instinct. He has not got that instinct.
I agree. I'm not disagreeing.
Play for Spurs.
We've got a lot of players at this club that shouldn't be here. I think, though, I'm just trying to see. The thing is, though, we have to find a solution until the next window, and we're not going to go and buy lots and lots of players in January. We need to find a solution to get us till May, because let's be honest, in the summer, that's when we're going to do most of our business. So we need to find a way around this until then. Otherwise, we're going to be doing this every week, aren't we? and if the home form doesn't pick up, mark my words, I know what our fans are like. If the home form doesn't pick up, they will turn against Frank. Mark my words, they will turn. I know what we're like. We do this to every single manager. He's got to find a way to at least get wins at home. Otherwise, fans will start booing, and then you'll hear the Frank out shit, and then here we go again.
Still, the problem you've got, just talking in terms of figures, take out the three, call it 60,000 at home game, take the 3,000 away support out, you've got 57,000 that go and watch Spurs at home and have watched the performances there this season, and you've got 3,000 of that support who are going away from home and seeing the exact opposite, where we're playing well and we're winning games away from home. So 95% of the fan base are watching the home games, and only 5% are seeing good performances away from home.
But Lubo, isn't it difficult though when you've got that level of player? Like if you actually look at yesterday, and by the way, I'm not going to sit here and say, oh my God, Spurs were amazing. If you look at yesterday, you had the Johnson shot that he blazed over the bar, Odegaard, the pathetic little flick towards goal that hit Thiago's just scored for Brentford. That hit Konza on the chest. You've got Matisse Tell at the back post. You've got Tell and Odegaard in the first half getting into those spaces where you're like, lay it off or have a shot and it's weak or they don't pass it. All of a sudden, if you've got better forwards in those areas, Lubo, suddenly we're not talking about a bad home form. We're talking about being 3-0 up against Aston Villa.
Yeah, but so, Sava, away from home, the issue is, away from home, we are putting the ball in the net. At home, we're not. At home, other than Burnley, we scored 1 goal against Villarreal, no goals against Bournemouth, 1 goal against Villa. We are not scoring at home.
I agree with you.
Yet on the road, we are scoring. So there's got to be something that's not quite right at home. And I think it's because we're playing better teams at home. I think at home we've played better football teams.
Hang on. We've played Brighton and Man City away. I
mean, City's an anomaly, isn't it? Like every manager beats City. I don't know what it is. We've got a voodoo, some kind of curse over them.
They're still a good team. We've beaten Brighton. We've played Brighton and Man City away. West Ham we never ever beat away, and Leeds haven't lost at home for a year. My thing is with it still is in the away.
But West Ham are bottom 5, aren't they? I mean, they're not.
But we isn't it funny how people use this to suit whatever their argument is, right? If we don't beat them, it's, well, we never beat them there. When we do beat them there, it's, but they're bottom 5.
No, I'm saying.
Let me get my point of what I was saying. Let me get to my point of what I was saying. It was more about, in the away games, I think it's because we're reactionary, right? It's more on the counter-attack and it's reactionary. In the home games where we have a little bit more time and we have a bit more time on the ball to build up and actually have the ball in the final third, that's where I don't think we're very good still. It's, when you ask players to put their foot on the ball and passing movements and intricate phases of play, our players can't do that. We don't have that up front. In away games, you look how we've scored. Have a look at the two goals we got at Leeds. How'd they come about? One, ball played through immediately, first time shot from Tell, right? The goal from Kudus, hit the defender, Kudus run it, scored. None of the goals are nice 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 pass movements, are they? Because our players can't play that way. They're not.
Do you not agree?
No, I agree. The players aren't good enough. That's the first point I made. I said we don't have the quality players, but I also think that when I watch Spurs this season, when we play the better teams, it's clear that we seriously struggle. I know you mentioned Brighton. We went 2-0 down against Brighton. What was good about that was we came back. We came back in the game, but we were still 2-0 down. I just think when Spurs come up against a team that is in that top half of the table, and I think the same is going to happen when we play some good Champions League teams, I just think we come unstuck. And
No, I don't disagree with that.
And I think that's the issue we've got right now. And that is the biggest issue that's affecting our home form. We've played more good teams at home than average teams. The only average team we've played at home is Burnley and Doncaster. We beat them both. The good teams that have come to White Hart Lane, mate, they've either played us off the park or they've scraped to win like Villa did. So we need to change. We need to change the passage of play and the system against the good teams until Frank is backed.
The issue that I have is, right, so if you go back with regards to Odegaard, I do agree with you still, right, in the sense of if you take Odegaard and Tell, you would think that Odegaard has got, of the two, promising, right? He is technically sound. The only issue with him is maturity. In a better run club, Odegaard would not be your starting left winger. He would be learning off someone who is of much more better quality, right? And that's the issue we're having at the moment. He is not mature enough. He shows some promising signs, but he's inconsistent, which is what happens at that age, right? With regards to Tell, my issue with Tell is I had never seen Tell to be a striker. He doesn't strike me, pardon the pun. His qualities don't strike me as a striker, right? I've always seen him to be somewhat of a left winger. However, for whatever reason, both Ange and Frank have been playing him up front. So he's got the added issue of the fact that he doesn't have natural qualities in that position. So he's having to then also learn about positioning, learn about where to be, learn about what runs to make. That is an added issue, right? The worry that I have at the moment with Spurs, and I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope that everything has changed at board level and, we're going to act like a proper club. The problem that I have from a Spurs perspective is that we've spent 73 million on these guys. 73 million. That's a 73 million investment. I don't think that they're just going to let them go like that. And no one is going to be paying 40 million for them. So that is where we are going to have
But Manny, no, it's not an issue. I'll tell you why. You're absolutely right in what you're saying, but I'll tell you why it's not an issue. This is what I said at the beginning. Frank, he will realise this. It's going to hit him hard. It hits every manager. It's whether he's got the balls to sit there and say, this is my rodeo. This is my team I'm building. Back me or sack me. I don't want Tell. I don't want Odegaard, whichever players he mentions, right? It could be, he might even say, I don't want Bentancur. Who knows? This is where Frank needs to lay down his authority and manage the football team. Because if he doesn't do that, I'm telling you, he's going to get eaten alive by this football club and he'll be another manager gone. The club have wasted money on players. They're wasting money on salaries. Frank has to clear it up, unfortunately. This is where I feel sorry for him. He's inheriting a problem. But he gets paid a lot of money, and part of that money surely is to clear it up. And if it means he's got to get, a lot of people talk about diplomacy. You've got to do things in a diplomatic way, say it the right. Sometimes you just got to put your foot down, point your finger at someone, and say it as it is. And Frank's going to have to tell the board, you've wasted a lot of money at this club. I've come from a team that had Mbeumo and Wissa, and you're giving me Richarlison, Odegaard, and Tell. Are you having a laugh? Either you want to take this club forward or you want to be a playground for kids. Which way do you want it? And this is what I'm saying. Frank is going to have that conversation in the summer, unless he really thinks he can develop these players. And if he can, then he's got to show it, right?
Can I ask, Stel? Sorry, by the way, I am going to eat a sandwich, people. Sorry, I've been streaming for like 5 hours straight, and if I don't eat, I'm thinking I'm going to collapse. I'm wasting away. I said this on last night's show, Stel, right? I think it's almost a sad indictment that Tottenham Hotspur have got a worse forward line than the club he's come from in Brentford. Like, that for me shows how bad we've been in the transfer market for many, many years. Right? Because Tellen Odeberg don't get... I'm watching Brentford now, by the way, Stel. Right? I'm watching Brentford now with Thiago, Damsgaard, Sharda. Bearing in mind, they've just lost Vissa and Mbuemo. They're better. They're better forwards than what we've got. How can that be that a small club like Brentford, with the second lowest wages in the Premier League, have managed to scout better forwards than Tottenham Hotspur? That is just, don't you think that's a sad indictment still?
It's absolutely shocking what we're seeing at Tottenham. For the money we pay and the players we're watching, it's unacceptable. I went through a list of players. You can go back as far as Gordon Jury if you want, and Clive Allen. You know, there hasn't been a period in history where Spurs haven't at least had one or two really good forwards. Really good. We have nothing at the moment. This is the worst. But again, you know, a couple of people in the comments saying, how's Frank a yes man? Someone said Frank is a yes man. You know, no. He's not a yes man yet. He's not. In the summer, you've got to give him a year to understand what he's got, understand what he can and can't do with certain players, and he needs a year to be able to properly analyse the club as a whole to take it forward. This is why I've always said give him a year. In the summer, we'll find out what Frank is about. We'll also find out what Vinay's about and this new structure. You know,
the money wasted is sensational. Went through last night. When you look at the money that has been spent on Odeberg, Tell, Richarlison, Solanke, Brennan Johnson, Archie Gray, like the money spent is just absolutely crazy for those 6 footballers. It's nearly 300 million or something for those 6 players. What are we doing? Adding Valise, adding Yang, what are we? Who has scouted these players? Who decided that these players were worth that much money? I'm shocked.
Seva, someone at the club has got to put their foot down and get a hold of it once and for all. Mm-hmm. And I think it has to come from the manager. I think the manager's the only one, unless you've got a real shit-hot football director, like a top-draw academy director who is, you know, back in the day, listen, there were some really hot, top-notch people back in the day. Like, I remember David, I hate mentioning them, but David Dean at Arsenal was fantastic for that club. Yeah, he really was. You think of who was the guy Alex Ferguson had above him?
Gill. You talk about Gill.
Yeah, Gill. Either we have someone like that in the club, or the manager's got to do it.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing?
Paratici might be that person now that Levy's gone, or maybe Paratici isn't that guy. I don't know.
He's got to be that guy still because he's in charge of first team recruitment now. So it's got to be him.
Well, the reason why I think it is imperative, right, is that so when I watch, the reason why I feel, right, and you know, you guys could tell me if you think I'm wrong with regards to this, that we are doing better away is because away from home teams feel the need to come at us, right, and that leaves spaces in behind. We then hit them in transition, and we score. Right? Is it just me? Am I hearing something here? Oh, you're muted, Sava.
Sorry, guys, it's me. It's there's fireworks outside because of Diwali. Let me just mute the mic. Sorry.
I was thinking someone been burgled.
I didn't realize I had such a big Asian community here, but we do. There you go.
a live Diwali fireworks show. Go on, mate.
Right. So I think, and when I look at us, right, and our style of play, whatever you want to call it, it reminds me slightly of, and I don't want people to kill me on this. When I used to watch Mourinho, right? I feel like I'm frozen. Am I frozen? When Mourinho came to the club, his philosophy was to make sure he was stable at the back, right? That's what he thought he was going to do. Be stable at the back, and then allow the front players to be free and create and score, right? The issue that Mourinho had was that we had rubbish people at the back, so it didn't work. With Frank, I look at him and I feel like he wants to play in transition, right? He wants to be stabilize that defense, be hard to score against, which you can see in the low number of goals that we've conceded, and then hit teams in transition, but allow the creative players up front to do what they need to do. Now, on the right-hand side, you've got Kudus and you've got Porro. So that can work. When you go on the left-hand side and up top, that's when the issue comes in.
Agreed.
So where I do agree with Stowe is, with regards to the recruitment, is if that's how he wants to play, then everything makes or breaks by the quality that we have up top and on the left. And if we don't
wants to play or is forced to play, would he
that's
want
why
to
I don't know. That's why I don't know.
Better technical players.
Of course, I'm not sure. Yeah, 100%. You can't at the moment, because the sample size is so small. I don't really know whether that's how he's being forced to play, or whether that's how he wants to play. Like, I know people get on the back of Solanke, but in my opinion, Solanke is better than Richarlison, right? Kulu coming in would add something more. Madison coming in adds something more. When these players come in and we actually have another transfer window, one is fit, that is when you start you're going to be able to decipher how Frank really wants to play, because he's really reluctant to play. Lubo was calling for 5 at the back. 3 at the back with 2 wing backs. He seems to be really reluctant to play that ever since we played PSG. And so I don't know whether he's tinkering. I don't know whether he is, I'm not entirely sure. But what I do know is that the quality, again, I keep saying, Odegaard, I do see a little bit of quality there, but he's not mature enough to be consistent enough. He's not physically strong enough for the league yet, so he shouldn't be starting. And we've really got a problem in that on that left hand side and up top, because it's not working. And if we're going to expect Kudus to be doing everything, well, I don't know whether you guys saw, but he was knackered by the 75th minute against Villa. He couldn't do much. But imagine Kudus getting injured. Imagine Kudus getting injured. It's a problem, and we have to address it. I actually was the one who was saying on different platforms, right? I was saying, guys, listen, January is a tough transfer window, but actually I'm looking at it now and I'm thinking it's pertinent. We need at least 1 or 2 quality bodies on that left-hand side or up top.
Manny, do you know what I'd do? January, if Spurs are a big club, if Spurs have got anything about us, I would go out and make it happen. Whatever it costs, I'd get Ivan Toney on loan, and I get Fofana on the left wing. I truly believe, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that's all we need, but in a January window, I truly believe if you went and got those 2 players, it could be Lookman, it could be Fofana.
Yeah. Is that Fofana from Lyon? Right?
If you go and get those 2 players, it completely transforms the way Tottenham Hotspur play and attack and set up immediately. I don't think people appreciate enough just how much we are hamstrung with the left-hand side and the centre-forward area of the football pitch. This is 2/3 of our attack is absolutely non-existent, Manny. Now, people can go, but he does this. There's no goals and no assists coming from our striker and our left winger.
Yeah, it's a big issue. I think you made a point earlier, right? Which I think I think we went past, but we did at 1-0. Was it 1-0 or 1-1? We did get two transitions on the left, whereby one it was Odegaard going through one-on-one, right? And I was thinking, come on, kid, take him on. Cut it into your right, shoot. Went straight into the guy, into the defender. I can't remember whether it was Conte or someone else. And then Tal had the exact same situation, did the exact same thing. And I know people say flavor of the month, but I literally was thinking, and that's probably because I watch Ghana, every single time. But I was thinking, if that's Semenyo running at you, right, that's a goal. And that is a difference, because then we go 2-1 up or we go 2-0 up, and it becomes difficult for Villa to come back. And that's the reason why I'm not going in too much on Frank, because I think that other than a few of my grabs, I genuinely do think that he is getting hamstrung by what is going on that left-hand side. It's genuinely terrifying sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, Lubo, what's... I think we desperately need a Tony, Lubo. I'm using Ivan Tony. I'm sure there'll be other names we put in. I think we've got to have the big, strong focal point. I think whether that's a Vlahovic, whether that's a Tony, we need to play into the guy. You know the guy, Lubo, that the centre-halves go, I've got to be on today because this guy's going to give me the battle. And this is what Richarlison doesn't give anyone a battle. He falls over the whole time, right? Mawani, we don't know. Johnson can't give anyone a battle. Matisse Tell doesn't give anyone a battle. We need that big guy that they're going, God, that's Ivan Toney. He's good on the floor. He's good in the air. He'll hold it up on his chest. Do you know what I mean? He's intelligent. We need that so badly, Lubo, and the left-sided player. Is that fair?
I think it's fair. I think the sort of just touching on what Manny just said, difference, scoring goals. We scored 6 at home in 4 and 9 away in 4. You're right. Teams do come onto us when we're away from home. It does leave space behind, and that's the difference. We're taking advantage of teams leaving space behind them, and we're scoring, and we're winning games. And at home, unfortunately, and I'm going to come back to it. I've just sent some stats. If you want to have a quick look at the WhatsApp and put them up, Sav.
Yeah, you've sent me a link that I can't put up.
Oh, sorry. Okay, difference.
Yeah.
Difference, where we are at home, it's not working. Whichever way you look at it, unfortunately, we're not. Teams are sitting back a lot more. Teams will play like the away team, always. Most of them do, and they'll sit back and they'll close down the space. They won't give us the space behind for people like Kudus or Odegaard to run into. So we've got to play through them. And we haven't got the players, unfortunately, apart from Kudus on the right, we haven't got the players to play through them. And what you've got, unfortunately, I'm seeing here Palhinha and Bentancur as a double pivot. When both play together, we create 26% less XT. We concede 31% more. We're down on XG. We play more directly. We have less possession, and we're less accurate in the final third. You'll see it on the WhatsApp group after the show.
I've seen it on the WhatsApp group, but can I ask, how is that relevant? Like yesterday, I asked this earlier, the Paulinho Bentancur, that didn't stop any of those forwards that absolutely fluffed their lines in front of goal.
I think we need something different, don't we?
That's where when people start using XG and XT and all this kind of stuff, that's not necessarily anything to do with Bentancur and Paulinho.
But do you
that
look
was to
at
do
it
with Tell and Odegaard and Simmons and
Hang on. But do you look at it and do you think to yourself, okay, the away form is much better than the home form this season? We all agree. Not only are the form, the results, the performances are much, much better. Mm-hmm. So we're looking at it and we're thinking, great, he's setting up really well away from home. Mm-hmm. You're away from home, you're playing on the counter, you're playing that much deeper. Paulinho and Bentancur, they're your two. You're going to have a battle away from home. Like you had a battle, for me, I'd have We won the battle. Personally, I thought we won the midfield battle 10, 15 minutes after half-time. Now switch it up. Now go up a gear. Bring Sarr in with extra legs. Bring Bergvall in with extra legs.
But how does that change the XG? This is what I don't get. Like
because these guys hopefully will create more themselves.
But they don't.
But the guys up front are not doing it. They're not doing it, sir.
Yeah, but Lubo,
So
hang on.
You can't keep doing the same thing that's not working. You've got to change.
Sure.
But
give me an answer, because the funny thing is when people want to throw stats and data, I'm here for it.
Mm-hmm.
But show me the stats and data that show that Bergvall and Sarr create more.
Okay.
Do you know,
Right.
Lubo, I've got an alternative solution.
I'll answer that because stats and data were not involved when Bergvall came on against Wolves, and we were shocking. Bergvall came on, started pressing, started ball carrying, and started helping to get pressure going that ultimately ended in Paulinia's goal.
Hang on. We didn't create anything before that goal against
We had
Wolves.
a lot of pressure. We had pressure.
No.
We had a lot more of the ball.
But you see
if
what
you
you're
watch
doing.
the game back, if you watch the
But
game
you see
back,
what you're
we were
doing
shocked.
But this is my problem when people want to use data like this. So you want to use the data because it proves you right for Paulinho and Bentancur. But when the data proves you wrong on Bergvall, we have to remove the data and use our eyes. My problem is this.
But it's not all about data. It's not all about data. That's my point.
Sure, if it's not all about data, then, as I said yesterday, us not scoring was nothing to do with Paulinho and Bentancur. Those two scored the goal between them, right? Those two scored the goal between them. Paulinho got the assist, Bentancur got the goal, right?
Correct. That's right.
Yesterday, how many times did Manny just said it there? How many times in that first half? How many times? Tell an Odeber on those left-hand channels, and you're like, lay someone in, have a shot. That's got nothing to do with Paulinho and Bentancur.
Guys,
right?
can I?
Hang on, let me finish. Brennan Johnson blazing one over the bar when he could have taken a touch and steadied himself. Nothing to do with Paulinho and Bentancur. We won that midfield battle. And the problem is, Lubo, and you're saying 15 minutes after half time, change it up. You now bring on Sarr or Bergvall, who are not as disciplined. We now lose the midfield battle.
I don't know. We're in the ascendancy anyway. Villa were dropping back at that stage.
We're in the ascendancy because we're winning the midfield battle and then giving it to the forwards. If you remove, this is the problem, right?
I'm sorry, I can't agree. Listen, we see things differently.
Can I finish the sentence though? You can say you don't agree, but the problem here is, Lubo, right? Is Aston Villa had a 3-man midfield. You now we're winning that midfield battle. So we want to take off one of the main midfielders that is winning that battle and mopping up all the fires. And we want to put on Bergvall and Sarr, who are not attacking midfielders. And we think that helps us win the game. I've seen no evidence of this. This is now the go-to. Hang on. This is the go-to excuse for so many fans now. Paulinho and Bentancur don't work. Show me when Bergvall or Sarr has worked.
Well, it's certainly not working this season at home, is it? The results prove it.
Okay, so Sarr and Bergvall haven't played at all at home?
Lubo, can I say, I agree with you, but not with the players you're mentioning. This is what I think we should do. When we're at home, I think we should be a little bit braver. We don't need to be as, protective and, harder to beat in a defensive mindset, which we do away from home. I think at home, with the home fans there, we should be a little bit more courageous. And what I would do is, if you feel the game is there for the taking, right? If you can smell blood, I would do this. I'd go to a back three, and I've got no issue with Spence playing in the back three, by the way, because I think as a one-on-one defender, he's more than good enough. Just leave Paulinho as one holding mid. So 3 at the back, holding mid. And then I would invert Kudus into the 10 and Xavi Simons in the 10 with 2 up top. Big debate over the 2 up top. I personally would include Johnson as one of them, and I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why I would put Simons in that 10 with 2 up top and use fullbacks as our wide play if we want to go wide. Xavi Simons at the moment isn't really clicking. When he was at Leipzig, he played in a 4-2-2-2, sorry, a 4-2-2-2, yeah, or a 4-4-2. So often he'd pick up the ball, drive forward, and then the pass he would make would be direct and forward over the top or through the lines. Unless we've got two players up top, either inverting inwards into the striker position or making those runs, he hasn't got the players to feed. So the way he was played at RB Leipzig isn't the way we're playing now, which is why we're having an issue with Xavi Simons. So for me, if you play Kudus and Simons as 2 10s, and they can drift out wide if they have to, you've got two creative sparks. Just put the ball on the ground or over the top to someone that just strikes the ball, hit the target, let's hope it goes in, as opposed to being so focused on wide play, which we have none if Kudus is doubled up on. And that way, you don't need to play with two more defensive midfield type players like Bentancur and Paulinho, because you've got back three to protect the one that stays on the pitch. And I think that will give us a little bit more courageous play. But I'm not saying do this every single game. I'm saying try something like that.
Like that,
when smell blood. No, I wouldn't have Sarr there. I'd have Paulinho instead of... Get rid of Sarr and put another player up top.
Get rid of Sarr and put another player up top?
Yeah.
So you want a one-man midfield?
No, Paulinho will be the defensive mid, and then Kudus and Simon will both be attacking mids, yeah.
Okay, so we're going more like that.
Yes. I think this suits Johnson better.
Wide open. Like I feel like we just
I think
hold on, let's have this conversation. How would we get ripped wide open? Tell me.
Because look at the gap in midfield. Like Paulinho can't imagine we did this yesterday versus Villa, for example.
Yeah.
Right? Aston Villa would have Kamara, McGinn, and Onana in midfield, and we're saying to Paulinho, mate, mark all three of them. Put out fires with all three of those big fuckers in midfield.
Yeah, but the point is, the point is that if those three in the midfield, but we've got the ball, we've pulled them out of their shape, which gives us more space to attack them with. Because now we've got two. See, when you've got two strikers and 2 10s, they've got to think defensively. How do we deal with that? They have to drop a bit deeper. So effectively, we push them a bit further back. This suits Xavi Simons more than what we're doing with him right now, which is why I don't think we're getting the best out of him. And let's say those three in midfield for Aston Villa are all on Paulinho. Do you know what? Yeah, we are asking a lot of Paulinho, but that's why you've got 3 defenders behind him. So they can tuck in.
I don't disagree in theory. Where I disagree with this, see this. Can I show you what I would like to see? Right, if we were going to do this, I would like to see. I still think you've got to have the 2 men in midfield, and I'll tell you why. I think you've got to have the 2 men. Let's go to this. Right, let's go to 3-4-2-1. Right, I'll tell you the reason why I think you'd have to have that in there is because these guys you're asking Udogie and Porro to be your width, right? They're going to be going up there, right? They're going to be going up there, which means balls are going to be going in over the top. Teams will go down the line over those 2, which means Van der Ven and Romero are going to have to go out wide. So these 2 are going to have to come in and help cover with Danso. I just feel like if you have the 1, I think you're asking a hell of a lot. But what you do to play this formation, here's where I'll disagree with you still. To play this formation, it can't be Johnson. The guy that plays there has to be someone like that can hold up and bring these 2 into play. If that man up top is Brennan Johnson, what I think is going to happen, no, sod that. What I know will happen every time the ball goes into Johnson, you are going to lose the ball. It's going to bounce straight back because you've got to have someone up there that can hold on to it. If you're playing one up, he's got to be able to hold on to it.
I've got no issue playing one up top or two up top, right? The formation I put forward is flexible. Change it to one up top. I'm cool with that. But I think as it stands now, holding up the play shouldn't be our focus. I think our focus should be is feeding in the ball to a striker that can go in on goal. And that's what we're not doing. How many times do you see a killer pass from our midfield? You're not seeing it. Partly because we don't have strikers make.
Striker can't just be doing that in a game. Like any striker that plays up top on their own, I hear you. You got to be scoring goals as a striker, but in this formation, the striker's going to have to be able to bring Kudus and Simmons into the game. He's going to have to be able to hold the ball up, lay it off to Porro and Udogie who are going wide. And this is why
Simmons, they bring the striker into the game by feeding them the balls. Because if you look at Xavi Simmons,
you've got no outlet. You've got no outlet in this team still. If that's
your strikers will be your outlets.
Yeah, but he can't be the outlet because he's got no first touch. He's not strong, and any centre half's going to take the ball off him like a candy from baby.
But, right? The through ball splits the defence though and puts the player through.
So we think it's going to be a through ball every time.
No. What I'm saying, Seva, no, Seva, hold on. I'm not saying that's going to happen every time. What I'm saying is this is a different approach that is worth trying because the current way we're doing it against the good teams doesn't work. This is where I agree with Lubo. If it doesn't work, we've got to change something.
I'm not doubting that bit. I'm not doubting that bit still. But the thing is, this whole Brennan Johnson as a striker thing, it's almost as though none of you have seen his first touch. None of you have seen his ball control, his passing, his hold-up play. He's shit in the air and he's weak. If I'm a centre-half playing against this, I am loving life. If I am a centre-half and I'm up against Brennan Johnson, I am loving life.
The only way Brennan Johnson works as a striker.
Yeah, but hold on, guys. I put Brennan Johnson in a 2, not a 1. If I put Brennan Johnson up top, he's in a 2, not a 1.
Yeah, but the point being, right? If the only way Brennan Johnson works as a striker is if we have another striker next to him, right? That's the first point.
Correct.
The second point is I do agree with Sava is the fact that you can't have Paulinho as a sitting 6 because he will have too much ground to cover. So you can play with a 4 and then have Brennan Johnson with a striker. I mean, the only striker that I can see Brennan Johnson playing with would be Solanke because he's the only person that can win the ball in the air. Where I do agree with you still, and where you in terms of where you are onto something, is Kudus and Simmons in that 10 because technically they're so sound, and with the way Kudus is able to control the ball, keep the ball, and then drive with the ball, you want him closer to the goal rather than being on the touchline, right? And that is where I do agree with you. The only way Paulinho as a lone 6 works is if Kudus and Simmons don't really play as a 10, but they play as central midfielders. That's the only way it works. But if we do play with that 3 at the back, really and truly, our outlets are the wingers. So we don't really necessarily need, the wing backs. Just like the way United want to play, basically, right?
Manny, look at Simmons at RB Leipzig. And I said this when we signed him. He plays like a hybrid 8-10. He actually drops. You saw him yesterday. He was dropping deeper to get the ball. He did that at Leipzig. We think of him as a 10. He plays like an 8/10. So I think that would naturally happen.
I don't disagree with that. Can I ask the obvious question though? By doing this, guys, are we not taking what has been arguably our best player this season, Kudus, and taking him out of his strength?
I don't think so. I think like even for Ghana, right? He used to play as an attacking 10. It's just recently that he's now been put on that right hand side. He is really, when he has the ball and he's driving with the ball, it's very hard to take him to take the ball off him. So then, if you have a situation where Porro and Udogie, they were wing backs when we bought them. Porro was a wing back at where is it? Sporting, and then Udogie was a wing back at Udinese. So that enhances their quality. So I think it could work, because the problem we're having, right, which Sava, you mentioned at the very start of the show, if you watch the game against Villa, what Unai did was very simple. He had, who was their left back? Was it Digne? He had Luka Digne on Kudus, and then as soon as Kudus got the ball, you could see McGinn sprint to double up on him every single time, because they know it. And if you watched the game, whenever Odeberg got the ball, it was 1v1, because they knew Odeberg was not going to do much with the ball. So they had the luxury of doubling up on Kudus all the time. So what I feel like is, don't leave him out there. I mean, as Estelle said, it doesn't have to be every single game, but sometimes switch it up. Don't leave Kudus as on the touchline, whereby as soon as he's doubled up, he has to just cross it in, and we've got no one to head the ball in anyway. That's my issue.
Just quickly. Sorry, I've seen something in the chat. Listen, Sonny J, right? First of all, dude, 1, calm down. 2, you have got your wires crossed completely. The comment that you are referring to by one of the Spurs 5 that posted it is nothing to do with Diwali, right? It was to do with people talking about Palestine, right? So the message was put into the chat to say, this is football. Please, can we not talk about any politics? You, for some weird reason, have got very paranoid and thought it's about Diwali. It's nothing to do with Diwali, right? So can you, 1, calm down, 2, just talk football, and 3, chill the fuck out, right? Stop demanding we give you answers. It's our show, right?
Well said.
So,
well said.
Chill out. I'm reading every one of your comments saying, who the F did this? What you have done, this is why everyone gets so worked up in the world. You have taken one comment. For some reason, you think it's about you. It's nothing to do with you, mate. It's nothing to do with Diwali. It was to do with Palestine. This is a football channel. It's the last I'm going to say of it. Give it up. Shut up. And if you don't want to be here, leave. But don't start giving it bigger than who said this. You don't know what you're talking about. Pissing me off reading that the last few minutes. Sorry, Manny. I didn't mean to interrupt you, my man. Sorry. Just getting really frustrated seeing that we're being called this, that, the other for no reason. Let me ask you guys, right? First of all, I think it's embarrassing, right, that we are sitting here having to go, what formation can we play because we didn't buy what we needed? Wouldn't all of this just be so simply solved if we went out and bought a fucking striker, right? And the left winger? And this is why, Lubo, it wasn't, to be fair, it wasn't Stel. It wasn't Stel, right? But all the others, Stel, when they were talking to me about, oh, no, when I said it's negligence, this is why I said it was negligence. And I said, Stel, you'll back me up on this. I said, this is going to cause us, not buying that left winger and a forward, this is going to cause us issues every single game of football this season. And I said, we're going to be having this conversation pre-game and post-game, every match, about how do we go forward without the components that we need. And what have we done every game this season? We're talking about, should it be Richie? Should it be Tell? Should it be Odeberg? Should it be Johnson? Should it be Solanke? Should it be Mawani? Because we've bought badly.
Listen, I think too many fans thought that Frank was going to develop a lot of players at this club that aren't really at a level that can be developed to where we need to be. I think a lot of players that we signed, Lubo, I've already dealt with that comment, don't worry. Also, I think fans, they got a bit carried away when Richarlison scored those 2 brilliant goals against Burnley and thought, you see what happens when you change man. No.
You mean Lubo and Johnny? You mean Lubo and Johnny still?
Two of our own, yeah.
I will own it. Having seen Richie at PSG and against Burnley, then he turned in a really good performance at City. I really thought Richie was coming. Since then, he's fallen off a cliff, the boy. So
there's a fine line between being positive and getting behind your team and just being honest about what you're seeing, right? There's a very fine line. And I think a lot of fans, they're just too scared to just really say what they're seeing. So all this, look, do you know when you know players aren't good? When you say things like, oh, but look at his work rate. But look at that run he made in the 87th minute and ignore the other, 91 minutes of the game. Look at that one pass he did. When you do that, you know the players aren't good. Like you don't say, oh, did you see that touch by Kudus? You don't say, oh, did you see that flick? You say, did you see that performance? Did you see what he did all game?
Let me read a super chat that backs you up. Absolutely this. Have a look. Absolutely. Henry Fong TV, big up to you. This is bang on. Said the fact people have to say the small things about Odegaard and Tell, did you see his passes move? Shows the level they're at. Right? And this is exactly what Lubo does with Archie Gray in our WhatsApp group still. Every time Archie Gray passes it, 10 yards. Did you see his pass? Did you see his 10-yard pass?
He comes on for 10. He comes on for 5 minutes. He helps equalise against Boda Glimt. I made the points. That was it.
No.
5 minutes. 89 minutes he came on. We equalised because of his
Good to see that Frank likes him, isn't it?
Well, listen, he'll get his chance. He'll get his chance, and I will be proved right.
Big up Henry Fong TV for that. Can't agree with you more. Big up to Daniel Field with a super sticker. Thank you very much, Daniel. Really appreciate you, buddy, as always. And someone else who's always putting in super stickers is Dean Law. Daniel Field, Dean Law, absolute legends. Really appreciate you guys. What we don't appreciate, though, what we can't appreciate is 160 likes. Come on, guys. I know we lost yesterday, but let's get that like button smashed for you.
Do you know what's messed up about this season at the moment for me? When I watch us on TV playing Man City away, Leeds away, just watching us on the road, I actually quite like watching us play. I think, do you know what? This isn't too bad. Yeah. I can get behind it. But as soon as we just get to White Hart Lane, I think, oh my fucking God, I'm bored. I'm just bored. It's ridiculous, man. We are Jekyll and Hyde. We are becoming Jekyll and Hyde FC.
No, still, we don't have we have the players to play against teams that come onto us. We don't have the players who put up a low block at White Hart Lane. That's the difference.
You say that, but Bournemouth came onto us. They were all over us. They tore us to pieces, man. Bournemouth.
We were shocking that day. Bournemouth were very, very good. But generally, you look at the other games. Burnley sat back. Okay, we broke them down. Wolves sat back, low block. Villa, we pushed back, low block. Can't find a way around these teams. This not just this
the only away game.
It's last season as well. It wasn't just this year.
Yeah, but new manager now, man. Like you know, the only away game I've watched this season, the only away performance I watched, and I thought, "Fuck my life," was Bodo Glimt. But even then, we came back and got a draw. You know, same against Brighton. Even then, we found a way to come back. I don't know, man. It's just there's something more enjoyable that keeps you watching the away games as opposed to the home games. Do you think maybe? Right, it's a bit of a theory. I'm gonna go a bit left field here. Do you think because our stadium is so wow that it raises the levels of teams that come to us? They think, yeah, we want to fucking play here, and they kind of raise their game a bit.
Or are some players? Do some of our players shrink? Is it?
Yeah. It's not intimidating, is it, Lubo? Like loads of my friends that go there for the first time, whatever club they support, or if they go there for the boxing, everyone's like, "Oh my God, what an amazing stadium! You've got all the mod cons, it's lovely." There's no bit that says to the away fans, "God, this is not a nice place for us to be." It's been built, and this is the thing: if you're going to make your home ground a fortress, right, it's got to be intimidating. White Hart Lane, it wasn't. Listen. It was an old school football stadium. It said what it did what it said on the tin. You look at it now.
You know what?
Those away fans are going out and getting pints that fill up from the bottom, and this is nice. We've got a nice cozy seat. It's just.
Do you know one thing I've noticed? Do you know one thing I've noticed at the home games? the away fans, they all stand up the entire game, right? They're all standing up for the whole game. So naturally, there's going to be a better atmosphere because they're on their toes. The home fans, I look around me sometimes, 30 minutes into the game, and people kind of leave their seat. They go downstairs and get an Asian fusion pizza, or they go and get some gourmet fish and chips with some mushy peas that have been made from a local farm, and they're sitting there and they're chatting to the person next to them, just dipping their chips into some Michelin sauce. And I think, hold on a minute. Their away fans are standing up and we're sitting here enjoying the different food on it. I do think it's a little bit too comfortable for us home fans. Our stadium's a bit too cozy.
I will say to Kantab, who made the comment, now we're blaming the stadium. We're not blaming the stadium. Players play football on the pitch. And when you're on that pitch as a player, you forget about everything else. You just get on with the game. You're just focused on the game. What we're just doing is talking about the semantics around it.
What was the atmosphere like? Because all the reports I'm reading is that it was crap. Like the atmosphere was crap. I don't know if that's true. I wasn't there. What was it like yesterday?
I've been to worse. Listen, like the Doncaster game was horrendous, right? Horrendous. I couldn't believe the energy and how flat it was. Yesterday, was it yesterday? Today's Monday. Yeah, yesterday. Yesterday, what to me, I didn't feel like it was as bad as it's been in the past. Like we had moments where we would have a little passage of play, or we'll put pressure on, and everyone gets riled up, etc. But I don't feel like we've had the stadium rocking in a while. Because even the Villarreal game, which was our first Champions League game in a while, that was flat as well. Yeah. And I couldn't believe it. Like, it was so much. I was actually speaking to my wife about it. I was saying to her, I'm gonna have to go to some away games to get myself psyched up again. But the point that Stell is making about even the first time I got a season ticket, I was in the north stands with the Birds. Right, I don't understand for the life of me why the away fans are not put up there. Just like the way when you go to Newcastle, you need to use your binoculars to see the pitch. I don't understand why
you're not allowed.
But
Man, you're not allowed. You're not allowed.
You're not allowed. Why?
You're not allowed. They have to be in the lower tier. Newcastle are the only club that are allowed to put them up there in the UK over some safety lift, something to do with lifts and stuff, whatnot. But otherwise, every club in the country has to put them in the lower tier.
Still, there's a lift at Newcastle. If you don't want to use the lift, if you want to keep fit, there's 7 floors with 14 flights of stairs going up to your seat at Newcastle.
But they're the only club that have got that dispensation. No other club's allowed to put them in the higher tier.
Can I read you some stats about our stadium and then ask you a question on this, guys? Right. This has just been sent to me. So it says a damning Spurs stat. Never good when a stat starts with the word damning. It says yesterday was Spurs' 40th home league defeat, 4-0. 40th home league defeat since the new stadium opened in 2019. So that's in 123 games. At the old White Hart Lane, Spurs lost the same amount of games, 40, in their last 216 matches, stretching back to January 05, 11.5 years before it closed. Now, guys, I'm going to ask the question. One, I feel that stat is going to be slightly misplaced, because I feel like for the last 3 or 4 years at home under Poch, we had a great team and we didn't lose many games, right? But how do we get the atmosphere back at the stadium? I'm not blaming the fans, but at some point, something's got to give, fans versus players. How do we get it back there?
I'll answer that. I'll come in on that one. Right. Number one, the club looked at Dortmund at the yellow wall and said, right.
Lubo, is this going to be one of your manifestos?
No.
An 8-point plan.
No. They looked at the wall. They thought, this is fantastic. I mean, I've been to Dortmund. Unfortunately, I went in the UEFA Cup game when I think we were 20,000 short of capacity. So it wasn't like it is on Champions League nights, but it was still brilliant being there. What do? We base the South Stand on the Dortmund yellow wall. And what do? We stick a corporate number of seats right in the middle of it. Fantastic. I mean, mad. Complete heads gone.
Have we? Corporates in the South Stand.
1882 club is in the middle of the South Stand. Okay? Right. Number one. Number two, you had groups of
this is a manifesto, isn't it?
No. You had, it won't take long. You had groups of fans who all sat together, and these groups of fans, it went back generations. These season tickets at the old ground. You've got to remember, Spurs, I think White Hart Lane opened in 1899. There have been families that have been sitting together for decades. What did they do? When it came to ordering your season ticket, it came down to loyalty points. So if you were in group one, you had to book. If you had say 300 loyalty points, and your son didn't go away from home and he had 100, then you couldn't sit with your son because it was 250 over. This was the time, this was the 2-day period you had to buy your season ticket. So they were splitting up families, they were splitting up groups of fans that have been going together for decades. And they wonder, the club, why there isn't the atmosphere at the new ground that you had at the old ground. Again, another Levy screw up in style. In style.
I knew this was going to be about Daniel Levy.
You have got.
I knew it.
Sorry, that was all signed off by him. He signed everything off at the ground. That was his baby. He did this. This was Levy. What a mess. What a screw up. Sorry, down to him. People wonder why we don't have the same atmosphere at the new ground as we had at the old ground. There's two very good reasons why.
But surely that's fixable now that Levy's not here, right?
Well,
do you know what, Lubo?
Sad, you've got to wait. Hang on, you've got to wait for fans to give up their seat, and at the end of every season, if a season ticket holder wants to move, they send a letter in, and at the end of they send a letter in during the process of applications, and then when all the applications are in, the club will look at it and they'll see which fans haven't taken up their season tickets. And which fans are after, which fans want to fill those empty seats before it goes out, before it goes across to the new fans on the waiting list. So it's not easy. You know, you can have 40, 50 people together in a group, and now you might have 2 people, you know, that are able to move their seats. I've tried to move my seat. I'm 7 rows back. I've tried to move my seat down for the last 3 or 4 years. No one's moving.
Do you know what? This is what Arsenal fans used to say in their stadium about not being able to move seats and people being together. Do you know what it comes down to for me? The biggest thing since Pochettino left, which is when the new stadium opened up, we haven't had one exciting football team to watch, like properly exciting. We had Martin Joel's football, which was decent, Redknapp, which was what a joy that was, and then Poch, which was the best. Since those guys, we haven't had the style of football that just makes you think, you know what, we're going to tear the opposition apart today, or the kind of football you think, I can't wait to watch it today. And we've had players like Kane and Son that have excited us. But the reality is, the way we've invested money in dog shit players for 5 years has led us to a place where we just don't have a team that fans are excited to watch. Listen, I'll be honest with you guys. I haven't enjoyed watching us play since Poch left. I've enjoyed moments. I enjoyed some key games that Conte, you know, Leicester City away, Arsenal at home. I enjoyed some Mourinho moments. I've enjoyed even some Ange moments. I've enjoyed some Nuno moments. I haven't enjoyed the team as a whole, though, since Poch left. And I think that is probably the biggest problem we've got at the moment, that we just don't have an exciting football club. Team.
Which
That's
Nuno
very
moments
fair.
now?
Well, the first game we beat Man City 1-0.
That was it.
That was it.
Point,
That was
right?
it.
I mean,
No, I agree.
since the peak Poch time, I'll be honest, I'm like Stel. There's been moments like there's been certain Conte games where you went, "Oh, we look good." Certain Ange games where you went, "Oh, we look good." But in the main, other than the odd player that does the odd thing, where's your Bale? You know what I mean? Where's your Gareth Bale? Where's your Rafa van der Vaart? Where's your, you know what I mean? We've not had them, have we?
That's the point, isn't it? Because every single time Kudus get swept off the ball, right? And the ball goes all the way to Kudus, you can see the excitement of fans. Fans literally hold their breath because they know Kudus can do something. The problem is that's where it ends. Where are the exciting players? You buy better players with better quality at a higher level, fans get excited. Like now, I know I said this in another group chat and I got slated for it, right? But I do think there is a culture in the English game, mainly because of the prices, right? That fans go to games and feel like, right, entertain me, get me roused up, whichever way you want to call it, right? Whilst in Europe, every single game I've gone to, whether they're losing, winning, they are up for it. So unfortunately, that's what it is. You have to get better quality of players in order to generate a better atmosphere. And I do also think that there is also an aspect of it where, why don't we just follow the model that Palace have introduced, I think this season or last season, right? Whereby they asked the fans who were in the singing section and sent an email to all of them and said, are you willing to sing from start to finish? If your answer is yes, you remain in that section. If your answer is no, you're moved to a different section. The South Stand technically is supposed to be our strongest stand. But then you sat sometimes and you're thinking, you know, as Stel said, 10 minutes in, people are going to go and buy some chips and buy some food because they don't want to stay in the line. They're going 10 minutes. They're going 10 minutes before the end of the first half. They don't want to stay in the line. That's what they do. So then you're thinking,
Manny, if the football was sexy, they're going to want to stay and watch it. They're going to want to stay and watch.
Look, I agree with you, Manny. I mean, when I was going to the new stadium when it was open and when it was just opened up and that, I remember thinking like this isn't a football stadium. It's like somebody's put a great big entertainment venue in the middle of North London, and I remember thinking there is nothing about this place which is intimidating. There is nothing. If you haven't got the atmosphere from the fans, the food's nice, the drink's nice, the seats are nice. Do you know what I mean? Like if all of that is nice, what a lovely day out for away fans, right? What's the worst away day for Spurs fans? Where do you not like going and why?
Probably Anfield, I would have thought.
Right, and Anfield, I've been to Anfield a few times. I think Anfield, sorry, any Liverpool fans, Anfield's old school. I think Anfield in and around the four courts of the stadium and that it's bog standard. It's brick, isn't it? It's brick and mortar. There's nothing nice about it. Lots of brick. All I can say is brick, right? And you don't want to go there. I remember I've been to the Emirates. Emirates is nice. The Emirates is nice. Do you know what I mean? All posh and I haven't been for years, but all very posh, all very nice. Food was good, and I think this is the problem, right? We've got to find a way of making that horrible.
But Saba, the thing is, right? It is possible. The stadium has been built in such a way that the noise literally is kept within that little bowl, right? And an example of great atmosphere was when we played Bodo Glimt in the Europa League semi-final, right? At home. That game, when people were holding those, you know, the whatever it's called, placard, Tifo, right? Because you know, in the European games, unlike in the Premier League games, in the Premier League games, the guy with the trumpet is allowed to, blow the trumpet whilst the players are on the pitch. In Europe, you can't do that. You have to blow the trumpet before the players come out of the tunnel, right? And we were holding those the tifo, and people were belting out the song, or when the Spurs, literally all the way from the time that the trumpet went all the way until the players came out, which was about 5, 6, 7 minutes after. And the atmosphere was incredible. So it is possible. Yeah. It's just about finding a way of making it consistent. That's the issue.
Yeah. Well, look, let's move on. We've got 10 minutes left. Let's move on, right? And let me start with you, Lubo. As I said at the beginning of the show, we've got a tough run of games. We've got a lot of away games in a row. We've got three tough away games as well. Monaco, Wednesday night. Monaco have played one Champions League game at home so far this year and got a 2-2 draw against City. Tough game.
Do you know the other result?
I can find out for you. Yeah, no worries.
What do I think of Wednesday nights? There's been nothing about Romero's injury published, has there?
They said he's not back until the injury room, which not 100% sure, said it back beginning of November. I don't know if that's true. Could be a lie. I don't know, mate. He could be back.
Okay.
Monaco. So Monaco, by the way, have 1 point from 2. Their other game was, so they drew 2-2 with City and they lost 4-1 away at Bruges.
Okay. It's one of those. I'll take a draw. I'll take a draw now and move on.
That's Lubo's answer to every game in it. Yeah, I'll take a draw.
That would get us a solid 8 points in the Champions League table, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I'll take a draw.
I see. There's some 3-0 Monacos. No, Dyer's not going to be fit, evidently.
Dyer's injured,
which is a real shame, personally.
But it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough, right, Lubo? I mean, any away game in Europe is tough, right? And as we saw, I watched the Man City Monaco game, by the way. And I don't know how Man City didn't win it, but Monaco had a lot of dangerous moments. And what Monaco have got is a lot of tricky players, a lot of tricky footballers.
Yep.
So I agree with you. I'll take the draw. Don't get me wrong. You want the 3 points, but I'll take the draw now.
In terms of atmosphere, I saw Spurs get a draw there against Monaco in the UEFA Cup about 9 or 10 years ago. The atmosphere there is so much worse than Spurs. We've been talking about how bad our ground is. That is dreadful. I think there was 6,000 in the ground when I was there, and Spurs had 1,500. So this is a good opportunity for our boys, our fans that are out there, to get behind the team, make the most noise, and drive them on. Because people, it's just not the place for football there.
Yeah.
So I think the last top player they had there, I think, was Glenn Hoddle. So
well,
world class.
I mean, Manny, Champions League away. It's an interesting one, right? Because you've got to win your home. You definitely got to win your home Champions League games. But at some stage, you've got to pick up one win away, right? I think we've got 1 point away, but I think you need one of the away games to pick up a win, and the other two after this are PSG and Frankfurt. So tough, right? Tough.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough one, right? So they got a very good result, which is what I was just looking at, right? They got a very good result against City, but City absolutely dominated the game. I'm looking at the front three of Ansu Fati, who's quality on his day, right? Quality on his day, but still young. You can still impose a bit of your scruffiness on him. Balogun up top, and then Akliouche on the right, as a right winger. I'm just hoping that we go in and perform the exact same way we've performed away from home this season, which is go in there, be defensively solid, put our weight about, be scruffy, be nasty, and come out with a 1-0 win or a 2-1 win. That's all I want. That's all I want, because you're right. We need to. We did well and picked up the 3. Again, I didn't care about how we won the game against Villarreal. We won the game. We got the 3 points. I was disappointed with the way we performed against Bodo Glimt, because I felt like had we imposed ourselves on them a bit more, we could have won that game. But I feel like since we drew that game, this is probably one of the games that we should be looking at and thinking, you know what, we technically have more quality than them. Let's try and be a bit more nasty. Let's get, let's impose our set pieces on them and get a 1-0, get a 2-1. Let's do what we're good at, which is be scruffy, be nasty, and come out of there with 34% ball possession, 2-headed corners, and then go home. That's all I want. That is all I want. I don't care about how we play this game. It's away in Europe. I wouldn't care less. I couldn't care less.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, still, it's an interesting one, right? Because look, I'll tell you where I am still in 30 seconds, and then you can round off the show with your opinion on it. For me, I'm expecting more of the same. I expect that we'll be hard to beat. I expect we'll be organised, but I also expect that we're not going to really cause them many problems up top because of the personnel available. So I'll take a scrappy 1-0 or a 0-0 right now. Where are you at with this?
I'll be brutally honest with you guys. I'm looking at our next 10 games, okay? Monaco away, Everton away, Newcastle away, Chelsea at home, Copenhagen at home, Man United at home, Arsenal away, PSG away, Fulham at home, and Newcastle away. The only game I'm confident in is Copenhagen at home. Every other game, I honestly, this is what I think is going to happen next 10 games. We'll beat Copenhagen. There'll be one shock win, like we'll beat Chelsea or something. And then I see a lot of losses and a hell of a lot of draws. I think the next 10 games, we're really going to see how bang average this squad is. And Frank's going to see for himself how much work needs to be done. So Monaco away might actually be one of the wins. Monaco away could actually be one of the wins. But then I think of us away at Bodo against Wolves. And I think, well, we're saying Monaco aren't all that, but Bodo, Wolves, is...
Yeah, I don't think we're all that. I think we talk about a lot of clubs still.
This is what I mean.
We've got a lot of people that go, we should be beating Villa, we should be beating Bournemouth, we should be beating Monaco. And I'm like, hang on, I'm not sure. We finished 17th last year. I'm not sure we are that good.
You're looking at these games coming up. St James's Park away twice is so difficult. Arsenal away is going to be the hardest game of the season. United have found form. PSG, best team in the world. Chelsea, bogey team. Everton have made their new stadium a bit of a fortress. There's no game coming up where you think, you know what, we should be all right here. I think we're fucked. I think we're in a bit of trouble.
I think we need to take it a game at a time, to be completely honest.
Said we're getting relegated. So we're getting relegated games.
Because, you look after that and you think, all right, we've got Brentford, Slavia Prague, Nottingham Forest, Sunderland. It eases off a bit. There's a bit of breathing space now, and then it's the window. But West Ham at home. You look after the next 10 games. I think we can win a good 4 or 5 games out of 6 or 7. But the next 10 games looks. Guys, I'm being honest. It looks horrible.
No, it does. It does. Though. But the beauty of football, right, is that it's not linear, right? I genuinely think Frank is looking at this run of games and thinking, right, a game at a time. We've got Monaco. Great,
I've got to tell Odebert and Richie, who shall I pick?
No, I genuinely think, right, he's thinking Monaco. if we are able to come out of that with 3 points, a bit more,
I think we can win.
I
think we can.
Right? You get a bit more confidence, and then you go away to Everton. You go away to Everton. We know what they're going to do because, as you said, they have made it a fortress. They are going to come at us with Grealish and in there, which suits us, hitting them on a break. And I think he's going to look at them a game at a time. It does look horrible. I do agree with you. And even, you're saying Copenhagen.
Everton aren't
a very good footballing team. Copenhagen are a very good footballing team. So it's not even that game is not easy.
Everton, I think Fulham, United, those 3 games in the 10, they don't have European football. None of them. So, in fact, are Newcastle in Europe, guys, or not?
Yeah,
they're in the Champions League.
The Champions League. Okay, so they're going to. I think. Do you know what? I think we're going to draw against Monaco. But if we win, I wouldn't be surprised. But I think we're probably going to come out of it with a draw.
Still, I think we get 2 draws from our next 2 games.
Everton and Monaco, yeah, probably.
And you know what? Everyone will go mad. Oh, we've not won for ages. I think if you ask me right now, would I take a draw from both? Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Everyone's going, oh, it's Everton. Everton, who wants to play a David Moyes team?
No inform.
David Moyes team at the new stadium. Listen, I'll take a draw right now in both these 2 games. Don't get me wrong, want to win them. I know people always confuse what I would take with what I want. I would take a draw from both of those 2, and I think that would be a good week for Spurs.
What about the Newcastle game after?
I'm not going that far. Oh, by the way, Brentford have just gone 2-0 up against West Ham in the 95th minute.
I thought they were already 2-0 up.
No, disallowed.
Yeah,
disallowed.
Disallowed.
Oh.
But yeah. Look, guys, should we leave it there for tonight? It's been fun. It's been fun. Listen, enjoyed it. Manny, thank you so much for joining. I've got a couple of super chats to do.
Thanks for having me, man.
I'm also going to find out who is live, and we can do a. I don't know if anyone can see if anyone's live that we can redirect to. That would be amazing if anyone can. Spurs Kings. I'll send everyone over to Spurs Kings, even though Marlon and Ash haven't invited me on there for about a year. But never mind. Don't worry about it. Big up to all of you. Thank you for the support. Big up to Daniel Field coming in with another super sticker. Thank you very much, my man. Really, really, really do appreciate you. And big up to Sonny J. Sonny, it was a mix-up. It's all good. It's all good. We draw a line under it. We move on to the next show. Big up to you, my man. Thank you very much. Listen, thank you to everyone in the chat. We'll be back on Thursday night where hopefully we're talking about a Spurs win, but we'll see. Please get over to Manny's channel, the Designated Hotspur, and subscribe to him. He is a top lad and a great football pundit. So thank you very much. Really appreciate you all. Much love. Take care. When you get over to the Spurs Kings, please say the Spurs 5 raid. Take care. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Leave you out.